Good morning, children. So in this video I will explain you about the average income method and the other criteria in measuring the nation's development. So here one thing I want to make it clear. Last video I told you India appeared under lower middle income group. So what is the income of the country? So it is given here. So it is $1,820 US as per 2017 data. So as we are in between these two, we are not even in the low income country group or even we are not in the rich country group. So that's why we appear in the lower middle income country group. So this is the World Bank criteria. It has used average income method in assessing the nation's development. Going for the next thing. Next slide. Now let us compare two countries. I told you this average income method is having some shortcomings. What are those shortcomings also we discussed. See, one thing is it will not tell exactly what an individual person is going to earn. It will not concentrate on public facilities like that we discussed. Okay. So here let us take an example of two countries. In this example we will imagine there are 5 citizens and there are 2 countries, country A and country B, and all the 5 citizens income is given here. See, the citizen 1 is earning 9,500, citizen 2 10,500, citizen 3 9,800. Like this, in country A the citizens income it is given in the first column. So it is 10,000, 10,200 like this. How will we compare the average income, children? So we are having the formula. We will take the total income of the country divided by the population. So here if you add the total income of all these 5 citizens, it will be 50,000. And what is the total population? There are only 5 citizens. So 50,000 divided by 5. You will get 10,000 average income. And take country B. In the country B, the first 4 citizens, citizen 1, 2, 3 and 4 are having same income, that is 500 rupees. And only the 5th citizen is having 48,000 as income. And here also if you count all 5 citizens total income, it will be 50,000 and the number of citizens is 5. So totally it will be 10,000. Now what you have to observe is, see, average income of both the country is 10,000 only, right? And even the citizens is 5 only. But what is the difference? See here, the distribution of income in country A is more equitable. And when you compare country B, 4 citizens are enjoying very less income, and only the last citizen is enjoying high income, 48,000. He is enjoying all the facilities, whereas these 4 citizens are not enjoying any facilities or basic needs because income is very less. But what does the average income tells you all these things? No. Average income gives you only 10,000 is the average income. Both countries are having same income. But whether all the persons are enjoying equitable income or not, that is not given here. So this is the main problem with the average income. Next. The observations are given here. I'll just read out and we'll go for next. Both countries have same population, that is 5 citizens. The average income of both the countries is 10,000. Of course, 50,000 divided by it, you will get 10,000. And even though both countries have identical average income, that is 10,000, country A is preferred. We will prefer to live in country A. Why? It has got equitable distribution of income, whereas country B unequal distribution of income. In country B, almost all people are poor except one. These disparities are not highlighted in average income method. So traditional approach also having shortcomings, and even this middle approach is also having some problems associated. Next. So then, what are the other criteria for comparing the nation's development? See, other than the national income, per capita income, we are having one more criteria, that is public facilities. We are going to consider whether public facilities are provided in the country in the proper manner or not. What are the public facilities? Mainly, we are concentrating more on education, health and the other facilities. Next. So in the educational facilities, what you are going to concentrate? We will check the literacy rate, net attendance ratio and the gross enrollment ratio. So whether the country has provided better education facility or not. How will you say? We have got three criteria. One is literacy rate, another is net attendance ratio and the third one is gross enrollment ratio. So what is this literacy rate? Children, if you say what is the literacy rate or whom you call as a literate person. So according to the 2011 census, you want to call a person as literate or educated. Whom you will call? A person who knows any language, who can read and write any language of the country, and he is aged 7 plus or 7 years and above, he is considered as literate person. Definition given here, the proportion of literate population in the age group of 7 and above who can read and write any language of the country, he is called as literate. So, how will you say nation has provided education facilities or not? If the literate population is more, you will say then the country has provided good educational opportunities. Then the second one is net attendance ratio. What is net attendance ratio? See children, in one academic year, the number of children attending the schools of the age group of 6 to 14 or 15 years. How many children are attending the schools in that particular academic year? That will tells you about the net attendance ratio. See here, the total number of children of age group 14 and 15 years attending schools as a percentage of total number of children in the same age group. Take for example, 100 children are there of the age group of 14 years. In that 100 children, how many are attending the school? If it is 75 is to 100. So out of 100 children, only 75 are attending the schools and remaining 25 are dropouts. They are not attending the schools. This shows education facility needs to improve. If it is 10%, all 100 children are attending the school, that means good education facilities are provided. Then the next one, it is gross enrollment ratio. This is the ratio of students enrolled in different educational institutions. It may be primary, secondary, higher education, university education, college education, so on like this. So the total number of students studying in different educational institutions, that gives you gross enrollment ratio. What is gross enrollment? Ratio of total enrollment regardless of age. This is not related to age. Here you are considering age as 14 and 15. But here in the gross enrollment you are not considering any age, but the total number of students attending schools in different levels. It may be primary or secondary or higher level. So this is gross enrollment ratio. Education facilities, you want to check, you should consider literacy rate, net attendance ratio and the gross enrollment ratio. Now you may ask me, what is the role, what is the use of education? You may ask me, people or person who has not attended school, is he not a good one? No, of course, you cannot say like that. Education is most important for the civilized society. So what is this? Why? See here, this is a diagram. It tells you the importance of education for a person. What happens if you are educated? What happens? See here, if you are educated, it causes for attainment of skills and knowledge. If you are an educated person, along with getting education, you will be acquainted with more and more knowledge and skills. What happens with that? See, your productivity increases, your efficiency increases because you are more skilled now, you are knowledgeable now. With that knowledge and skill, your efficiency, your productivity increases. And with that high productivity and efficiency, what happens? The production of the nation increases. With the production increase, what happens? The national income of the country increases. With the increase in the national income, it causes for the growth of the country. So it is a chain link. So you are educated, you will be skillful, you will put more efficiency, naturally production improves and then your national income rises. So it causes for the development of the nation. So nation want to develop. This is how education it plays a role. So the second thing, one we discussed about education facility. Here it is medical facilities. What are the medical facilities? See, you will consider how will you check whether medical facilities are provided in a more good manner, comfortable manner or not. How will you check? See, one is infant mortality rate and another one is life expectancy. There are two criteria. One is it is the life expectancy ratio. Another one is the infant mortality rate. See, if infant mortality rate is less, then you can say good medical facilities are provided. If the life expectancy is more, you can say good medical facilities are provided. What is this? Let us see here. Why we need health? See, of course, I am educated. I don't have health. What is the use? I cannot put all my skills and knowledge into action in a more proper manner. Then what can be done? I need good health, I need good education. Both are most important. So you cannot say only education is important or health is important. Both of them are very, very important. And an educated, healthy person is an asset for the nation and vice versa. Okay. So here, how you will measure the health status? One is given infant mortality rate. What is infant mortality rate? Number of children die before completing 1 year as a proportion of 1000 live births in a particular year. See, in 1 year, you imagine there are 1000 children born and at the time of birth they are alive, and before completing 1 year of age, how out of these 1000 children, how many children die? It may be for different reasons, maybe for because of malnutrition, maybe because of lack of medical facilities, maybe because of proper environment. Like this you can give many reasons. So before attaining 1 year of age, out of these 1000 children, how many children died? This is infant mortality rate. So you will assess medical facilities are provided in a correct manner if infant mortality rate is less. Then life expectancy is, it is the average lifespan of a person. How many years a person is going to live. What is the expected years of his living. On that basis you can say life expectancy rate. So this should be more and this should be less. This is how you will assess, you will compare the medical facilities. See, now this is one comparison between the states of India which tells us whether the state is developed or not. How will we say? Take here. See, state we have taken Haryana, Kerala and Bihar. And per capita income also we have considered. Per capita income is average income in rupees, in Indian currency we have taken. This is for the year 2015 and 16. The per capita income of Haryana is 1,62,034 rupees. You compare it with Kerala. Kerala is having bit less when compared to Haryana. Kerala is having less average income. What is the average income of Kerala? It is 1,40,190 rupees. And what about Bihar? It is still more less, 31,454 rupees. Out of this, which state is in the top? It is Haryana. Second rank it is for Bihar. It is for Kerala and third one is for Bihar. Bihar is in the bottom position. And when you check this data, you can say Haryana is more developed. Kerala is, it is in the middle. And here it is Bihar is having less development. And you check the other two data. Infant mortality is 33 in Haryana, Kerala is 10 and Bihar is 38. And literacy rate 82 in Haryana, 94 in Kerala, Bihar it is 62. See, net attendance ratio 61 in Haryana, 83 in Kerala and 43 in Bihar. See, out of these three, which is the best? You can say it is Kerala. Why it is best? See here, literacy rate is more in Kerala, it is 94%. Net attendance ratio is 83 and infant mortality is very, very less, it is only 10. So, while considering the public facilities, Kerala has taken, it is provided good public facilities. So you can say Kerala is the most developed state. We will continue in the next video. Thank you.